This is the scene in the dressing room area at the Cardiff Arms Park. The arrival of Frank Bruno, the challenger. He's going into this ritual preparing for a world title for the third time. He seems like he's still the people's choice. I wonder if we can just grab a quick word with him with Gary on.
All right, cheers, nice one.
How are you feeling?
Very, very fine. Everything's going like a jigsaw puzzle. The jigsaw puzzle should be finished tonight when I get in the ring, mate. Very, very confident, very relaxed, very chilled, mate. Very relaxed. You can see who the fans are going for tonight, and I'm very chilled, very relaxed.
Last message for Lennox?
I'm going to knock him out so hard he's got to pay to get back in. I said it before, I'm going to say it again. Saving all my emotions. It's going to be
Respect, Frank.
All right, Dave, yeah? Nice one.
All the fans are with you at the moment, isn't it?
Thank you very much. It's nice.
Come on, Pompey, kick off.
Big fight, folks. This is what it means. The crowd's beginning to come in. And Anna Walker upstairs in the VIP area is still finding very interesting people to talk to.
Well, it's amazing who you bump into up in the VIP lounge, you know. Celebrities, all of them, all from different walks of life. And this one needs no introduction. Entrepreneur, businessman, VIP and Virgin boss, Richard Branson. What are you doing here?
Well, I've come to have an enjoyable evening, and I've brought my son along. And Lennox Lewis flies Virgin, and he was good enough to invite me down and gave me a couple of tickets.
So are you into boxing yourself? Do you go to quite a few fights?
No, but I mean, obviously this is one of those fights that I think everybody would like to go to. And I like Frank Bruno, I like Lennox Lewis, and I'm just looking forward to a good evening.
Now, you might actually get involved in the next fight in Las Vegas, mightn't you?
Yes, so the winner will be fighting in Las Vegas, and we've been asked if we'll lay some flights on to get people there, and we're trying to sort of see if we can arrange, you know, amongst our schedule with our airline to get some people out there. So I think that's going to happen in I don't know, April or May.
Now, I gather you're going to have some kind of innovation for the fight fans to get involved.
Yes, I mean on all Virgin flights we're putting seat-back videos, and with 14 channels of video system. We're also going to have a number of channels of gaming, so roulette and blackjack and other things. And on the Las Vegas flights, we're going to have, you know, proper croupiers and roulette tables, and give people a good time on the way over there.
Innovative as ever. Now, before you go, I have to ask you for your prediction. Who do you think is going to win this?
Well, normally I support the underdog. I don't know whether Frank flies us though, but since Lennox does, I think Lennox on the fourth.
Lennox on the fourth, you heard it here first. And you got a few plugs in for Virgin as well.
I didn't do that.
Thanks very much for joining us. And now back to you, Paul.
Thanks to Anna. He didn't get where he is today, etc., etc. I wonder if he's thinking about buying a fighter or two. Watch this space for more. Now, the phones have been red hot. You've been ringing in all evening to tell us who you think's going to win. The percentage stays strong in favour of Frank Bruno, the challenger. We saw the public reception he got when he arrived in the arena here in Cardiff. 63.3% of you believe it will be his night, and only 36.7% so far who phoned in believe that Lennox Lewis will leave this magnificent arena as still the WBC World Heavyweight Champion. The numbers to ring for Lennox Lewis, 0891 456 302, and for Frank Bruno, same prefix, 456 301. 02 for Lewis, 01 for Bruno. Ahead on Sky.
In 2 hours' time, Frank, the hammer is coming down.
I'm about to go boom!
Think Frank is worried? Well, he doesn't look too worried, does he? This is live from Frank Bruno's dressing room. He's been through this ritual a total of 39 times in his professional career, but I doubt if any of these evenings have meant quite as much as it does tonight for Frank Bruno. Surely his last attempt at the World Heavyweight crown. But doesn't he look cool and in control? Your preparation can be perfect, but ask any fighter and he'll tell you that when you step into the four corners of truth, you go there alone. The best you can hope for is somebody behind you like George Francis. Now aged 64, Francis has trained 4 men to become world champions. From John Conti on, they all agree George is the best in the business. There are some things in boxing that money cannot buy. The most precious and hard-earned of all commodities is experience, and George Francis has a lifetime's worth of boxing knowledge. Every aspect of Bruno's work is supervised by a man who was preparing fighters for world titles when Bruno was starting school. He's devoted his life to boxing. His reward is something else that money cannot buy: lasting respect.
He's like my guru, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm spending too much money, he'll bollock me, he'll tell me off and tell me to cool down. If I'm training too hard, he'll tell me to train. If I'm getting, you know, he does everything. He just surround me 24 hours a day as regards to my training, so he's very, very good for me, you know?
Well, he's changed in the last 2 years more than any time in his life, because I've known him since a little boy. He used to come in my gym and spar with my gang, you know, as I used to call him. And I think now he's matured and he's his own boss. And I think he's a very happier person than ever I've known him. And he's a loose limb guy now rather than the big, bulky, heavy guy that he used to be. And I think he's changed completely.
And do you honestly feel in your heart, George, that your man Frank Bruno is now better equipped for a world title showdown than he has been in the past?
Yes, I do, because Frank was a very tight guy when he was younger. And that's the first thing I noticed when I took over his training. And whether it was, I have to be careful what I say, whether it was anything around it, I don't know, but he used to tighten up before fights, you know, and because I used to round him, what's the matter with you? And wine, you know, loosen up. But now he does that, and you know, people say, did he learn anything from boxing Tyson? And I say, look, forget the first fight with the Dutchman, but look at the last 3 fights. He's done to those opponents what Tyson done to him. All right, he's been a bit rough. He may be rough in this fight. We won't start it, but if we have to, then we will. But I hope he don't, and I hope it's a very clean fight. But he learned something by Tyson. You've got to be strong from 1 to 12.
Seconds out.
Okay, I've trained champions, but you're only as good as what they've got between their ears, you know. But a trainer's job is to try and say, look, it's the toughest sport in the world. You can't be a nice guy. It broke my heart when he hit Tyson with a Sunday punch. What did he do? He stood there.
Oh, some good shots from Bruno, and he's got him, and he's hurt the champion. Well, those who said that Frank Bruno would freeze must eat their words. He caught the champion, and he hurt him. And nobody has hurt Mike Tyson before, but Bruno did.
It broke my heart because you only get one chance like that. But I think he's learned from that. And I know one thing. You've got 2 16.5 fellas coming at one another, 6.5 stone. And, you know, you can be miles in front, miles behind, but one punch makes all the difference. And that's what excites heavyweights.
Any fighter will tell you, you can have the perfect family, the perfect training camp, and perfect preparation. But when you step into the 4 corners of truth, you're all alone. The best you can hope for is someone like George Francis over your shoulder.
If you're in the corner, they've got to have confidence in you. And sometimes I swear, sometimes I slap it. It's not personal, it's just to bring the best out of them at that time.
What would you say to Frank on the morning of the fight, or when you sit down the last time to talk?
Be yourself and go and do your best. That's all anybody can do in life.
He's been doing it pretty well, George Francis. From the time of John Conte on, he's been involved with world champions. He's had a host of world-class fighters, Barry McGuigan.
He was in my corner when I won the world title.
Indeed. How good is he?
Exceptionally good. One of the best trainers that we have this side of the world, no question about that. But there's only so much he can do for the guy. He's made him better. He's made him more aggressive. He's certainly made him rougher on the inside. He's used a few illegal tactics and got away with it, got warned it. And I suppose that's not a bad thing because he was always too nice a guy. I've never seen him as belligerent as he is for this fight. He's very aggressive and very angry, looks very angry. Now that can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. You've got to be able to control it. If he goes in there and is angry in the ring, he get knocked out.
Can George control that at this stage? Can anybody do that?
I don't think so. When he gets through those ropes, that anger can overcome you. And you know what they say about an angry fighter. An angry fighter is easy to beat.
Let's have a look at some action, shall we? This is the build-up, continuing, of course, to the main event, but we've got a good little bout at super middleweight down at ringside. Ian Dark's waiting to bring us up to date with this. This is the meeting of Joe Calzaghe, one of the local boys from Newbridge, just down the road from here in Cardiff, and he's up against Paul Hanlon from Birmingham tonight. Let's join Ian.
So away we go here. Joe Calzaghe, top-class amateur, 3-time ABA champion in the plain black shorts, and Paul Hanlon with the stripe down his shorts. Calzaghe, big things expected of him. He's a Mickey Duff fighter. How good is he going to be in the pro ranks here in the super middleweight division? Hanlon, who's managed by famous fight character Norman Nobbs. He's been a pro since 1986, but he's been a bit of a win some, lose some kind of fighter, and he's lost more than he's won. Calzaghe, you'll notice, leading with the right. He's a southpaw. And success there for Hanlon with the right hand.
Break. Step back.
Always a big moment, Glenn McCrory, for a fighter making his professional debut.
He looks quite good. He's got a nice style, nice and tall and rangy. He looks very good. It's the right sort of fight that he needs. I'd like to see him use his jab a little bit more. But obviously he wants to get this sort of opponent out of the way as quick as he can.
Not a bad right uppercut there from Hanlon as they worked inside. Hanlon, who's from Birmingham. He's been improving gradually. He's won 4 out of 7 in the last year, Hanlon, so he's going the right way generally, but he didn't really ought to be beating somebody like Calzaghe, though he might give him quite a tough test on his debut.
Well, he could, because obviously he's had a lot of fights, so he's got a lot more experience. This guy's having his very first fight, so it's still a tough test.
Well, Ivor Bassett there, the referee, jumped in, and I thought he was going to administer some kind of count for a moment there as they both landed, and I think really Hanlon came off the worst in the exchange, and now the southpaw Calzaghe is moving into top gear. And down he goes. He needs to take a shot to Hanlon. The count goes on. He's waiting to clear his head. That's good experience, but he's in trouble, Glenn.
He's in desperate trouble. I noticed at the end of that exchange there, he had his head, he was looking at the canvas. You've got no chance of getting out of the way of the shots if you're not going to see them. So Calzaghe letting all the shots go. Good punch there.
He's growing in confidence, starting to wind up his shots. And you get the feeling this might only be a matter of time.
Well, Calzaghe knows he can hurt him, so now he's thrown everything.
Oh, he's got him again with the right hand. It's the second count of the round. He's being told to get to a neutral corner, and how much more of this will Hanlon be able to take? He's up at 8, he's brave, and the referee's taking a look at him and saying no more. It's a first-round win on his debut for Joe Calzaghe from Newbridge in Gwent. The Welsh fans like this. They like the look of this 21-year-old who was an ABA champion at welterweight, light middleweight, and middleweight, and well, he did nothing wrong there, Glenn.
He did everything right. Very, very fast. He knew when he got his man going, he threw everything. And that was very good. I think the referee made the right decision to call it up when it was, because there was no way Hanlon was going to do anything. He'd been hurt, and the referee did the right thing.
Terry Lawless is very happy with him, and Joe Calzaghe is off the mark from the Duff Lawless camp, and they might have a bit of a star in the making there in Joe Calzaghe, though of course there'll be bigger tests lying ahead. First round win for him here over Paul Hanlon of Birmingham, whose record drops to 7 wins and now 17 defeats.
Thanks to Ian and Glenn McCrory, and of course Ian and Glenn will keep their eye on the best of the ringside action. But let's go back inside the dressing room area, shall we? Because this is the man that
and he's only had 1 defeat
is involved in the main event. Lennox Lewis, the world heavyweight champion, believed to be picking up a £3.5 million paycheck for this one. But believe me, if Lennox Lewis does win this one tonight, that is only the start of the really big earnings for the man who is the WBC world heavyweight champion. He hasn't lost yet. And who's in the future? Maybe among the men in the immediate future would be Tommy Morrison if Lewis is successful tonight. We could maybe get more on that by going down to Gary Norman. He's talking to a man who may know.
Thanks, Paul. I've got Bob Aaron with me, respected worldwide fight promoter. First of all, let's talk about tonight's fight. How do you see that going, Bob?
Well, I think Lewis should win, and he should win quite quickly. I look for a knockout in about 2 rounds. He's far too fast for Bruno. He hits too hard. I think Frank is going to go out early. I like Frank. He's a terrific guy, but he's no match for Lennox Lewis.
Tommy Morrison is due next for Lennox Lewis. Is that true? Is it on paper?
Yes, and that's why I'm here. We're going to announce the fight tomorrow. and it's going to be in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand, the new hotel in Las Vegas, on March the 5th.
He's got a fight or two before that, hasn't he? Who's next for Tommy Morrison?
Tommy fights Michael Bent, pretty good fighter. But again, I think that Tommy figures to beat Bent just the way Lewis should beat Bruno tonight.
How would you see Lewis Morrison? That's a very interesting fight, a very explosive puncher, both sides of the fence.
I think that we have analyzed Lewis as being open for a left hook, and that's Tommy's best punch.
Absolutely.
I really think that Tommy has an excellent chance against Lennox Lewis. Lewis is a very, very good fighter, but I think that Tommy would have a much better chance with Lennox Lewis than, say, with a Riddick Bowe.
One other super fight that the world want to see, all the boxing fans want to see, is Nunn against Tony. You could make that happen. Will it happen?
I think that'll happen. James Toney is one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. He fights the postman Tony Thornton next on the same card that Morrison's fighting Bent on October 29th. And then he has to do his mandatory fight in January, and then he'll probably fight Michael Nunn.
Bob, thanks for keeping us posted. Enjoy the fight. Back to you, Paul.
Thanks once more to Gary. That's all into the future. Tonight is about two men, Lennox Lewis and Frank Bruno, and it's a piece of sporting history here in Britain. The streets of Cardiff are thronged with people making their way now to the Arms Park, just over an hour away from the big event. The weather is still picture perfect, I'm glad to say. And when these people get inside the stadium, they're going to see a spectacle that they won't forget. From every vantage point in this stadium, you've got a perfect view. They've thought about everything here. We'll continue the build-up in just a moment.
You're watching Sky Sports.
I think the intention would be by the promoter that if the rain is going to start to come down and be a serious threat to the bill, unfortunately the guys on the bill, on the undercard, are going to have to just accept that this is a big night, and we're going to prepare to get Frank Bruno and Lennox Lewis into the ring. Now, the idea of that would be that we're going to get a clear new canvas out in time. And indeed, as we speak,
they're laying a new canvas. Again, it's going to be essential that the canvas is tight and firm. It's going to take 20 minutes to half an hour to lay that. So the guys that are going to come out next will have a short wait before they're allowed to come out.
Barry, the other thing that struck me during watching that fight, if the guys are having footwear, generally the boxer's boot or shoe is a very smooth surfaced, smooth-soled shoe. Yeah. What about using more rugged footwear, training shoes, or other shoes with more grip?
That's a good question, Paul. You're allowed to wear whatever you wish on your feet. You can wear hobnail boots if you wish, as long as you don't put them on your fist. I don't think there's any. I don't think there's any actual rule as to what you wear on your feet, provided it's acceptable by the authorities. But you can wear training shoes if you want. And if this rain is prolonged, there's no reason why some of these guys shouldn't wear a grippier sole. But that's throws a whole new light on it.
Who would worry more of the two main protagonists tonight, Lewis or Bruno?
Well, Bruno is not as hand-eye coordinated as Lewis. He doesn't do things as fluently as Lewis. Lewis has got much more natural hand-eye coordination, natural ability, and he seems to have much more rhythm attached to his style. So maybe he will do it better, but who knows?
It could be one of those situations where the conditions prove to be a great leveler. It happens in a lot of sports.
Well, certainly it could give one of the two fighters favour, you know.
One would think also that the question is confidence, that the boxers are going to have to feel confident in that situation. Now, maybe they're not feeling so confident right now about going out to fight in this arena, but listen, the crowd is coming in confident that this fight is going to go on, and the Cardiff Arms Park is really beginning to fill up now. We're expecting something in the order of 35,000 people by fight time. Incidentally, if the fight does go off on schedule, that will be at just about 1 o'clock. Now, and all night you've been ringing us to tell us your opinions about the outcome of the big one. Lewis supported by the minority still, the champion. 37.9% of you believe that it will be Lennox Lewis's night, but still an overwhelming majority of public opinion, Frank Bruno, 62.1% believe that Bruno will become the world heavyweight champion at the third attempt tonight. These are the numbers to call. The telephones have been buzzing all night. 0891 456 302 for Lennox Lewis, 0891 456 301 for Frank Bruno. 2 for Lewis, 1 for Bruno, and less than an hour to the main event. Stay with us.
You're watching Sky Sports.
In 1 hour's time, Frank, prepare to meet your maker.
I'm about to go boom!
I think he's probably got the message by now, champ. It sounds like the public is rallying behind Frank Bruno in our telephone poll, but on the other hand, Frank knows that that's not going to save him when he goes into the ring in less than an hour to meet the WBC World Heavyweight Champion Lennox Lewis, the 6th time tonight in the history of British boxing in this country that the title has been up for grabs. There's been some famous nights, but this is promising to be the most famous of the lot. Lots and lots of famous people have shown up for the occasion. Let's go up to the VIP lounge once more and rejoin Anna Walker.
Yes, well, with me now are two people who are very at home at the Arms Park. Former rugby union players, now play rugby league, Jonathan Davis and Kevin Ellis. Now, you've got a big game coming up on Sunday, haven't you, Jonathan?
Yes, we play New Zealand in Swansea on Sunday, so it's straight back to bed after this.
I'll believe you. Now, what about you, Kevin? You're in training for this big game as well.
That's right, yes. Very much looking forward to it. But it's great to come to such an occasion like this. But I think we'll have to nip home straight after the fight.
Just in case your trainer's watching, yeah. Now that, Jonathan, I mean, this is an amazing stadium here, isn't it? Really big stage for a big event. What's it like when you go out there in front of the crowd?
Well, it's 60,000 there when you run out, and it's fantastic atmosphere. It just hits you as soon as you walk out. I'm sure it'll hit Lewis and Bruno tonight. It's a fantastic stadium, and it looks entirely different tonight. Very, very impressive. And the most important thing, it puts Wales and Cardiff on the map, world map.
It really is important to the Welsh people to stage this here, isn't it? What does it mean to people in Cardiff and Wales in general?
I think it's more of an occasion. I don't think maybe people who aren't interested in boxing, want to come along to actually see, a world title fight, and two big names like Lewis and Bruno. It's caught the imagination of the Welsh public, and like I said, anything that comes to Wales is great for Wales.
Right, I'd like you both to give me a prediction, please. I know you've been dreading doing this. Now, Kevin, you first. Who are you going for tonight?
I'm going to go for Lennox Lewis in the 5th or the 6th. It's going to be a hard test. I'd like Bruno to come through, but I think it's going to be Lewis.
So your head's telling you it's Lewis and your heart's with Bruno.
That's right.
And what about you, Jonathan?
Yeah, similar for me. I'd like Frank to put a great fight up. But he's got a chance. He's got a great punch, and if he lands a punch, he could drop Lewis. So you've got to go for Lennox Lewis, but you never know. One punch and could be Frank.
Okay, so two votes for Lewis here. Back to you, Paul.
Thanks to Anna. Jonathan Davis does know all about winning at this venue after all. Let's go and have a look outside, shall we? Barry McGuigan mentioned to me just a minute ago that he thought that the logical thing was to get a new canvas down into the ring arena, and Barry, from the look of things, that's exactly what's happening.
Yes, but I thought they would have removed the canvas underneath, but they haven't. They've just pulled it down on top. Surely that will make it just a slippy grip. It's an unusual occurrence. I've never seen this happen before, where they've had to change the canvas.
We shall wait developments with interest here. It's not the quantity, it's the quality. The work ethic in the training camp of the world champion. It's run by two men devoted to the search for perfection. The conditioner, Courtney Shand, and the trainer, Pepe Correa. When Ian Darke spent time with those two in Washington 3 weeks back, he found them getting the work out of the way to prepare for what they call the party.
I'm about to go
Shape as I've seen him. He came into camp in tremendous shape. If I had to put it on a scale of 1 to 10, he came into shape at about a 5. And right now he's hovering at about 9.5. We're holding him back a little, so we'll have some left for the next 3 weeks that we got to go. To tell him, okay, this is what we're gonna do, and he just does it. I mean, his dedication, his desire, his determination is so high that I don't have any real problems with him. He's like a lot of fun to work with. You know, it's just like, Lennox, I want you to do this, we're gonna do X amount, and he says, yeah, and he just does.
Have to motivate him. He knows Bruno's there, and these guys are trying to take it away from him. When you're the heavyweight champion of the world, or champion of anything, everybody's trying to take it away from you, so you have to do your best. You have to work harder than you ever worked before. I don't have to push him. He comes to me and says, give me another round. There are times when I want to end the workout, he said, can I go a couple more rounds? That's the kind of fight I like to deal with, and that's what he asks for.
There you go, champ. That's it. The injury to the right hand, you had the operation. How's that patched up?
It's patched up better than expected because, you know, my doctor said I'm supposed to go at it slow, but as soon as I got into the ring, I just started punching hard on it, and it hasn't given me a problem yet.
I think a lot of people don't know how serious it was for that last fight, the Tony Tucker fight. I think you can probably reveal all now, can't you?
Yeah, it was pretty serious because coming up to the fight, I didn't really want a lot of people to know about it, and it affected my training. But this time, you know, I could do a lot of the things I couldn't do in the last training camp. That's doing the sparring and hitting the bag.
So it was difficult during that fight. You were having to really punch with the right hand through pain, were you?
Yeah, you know, I seen the opportunity that I heard him, and I just wanted to get rid of him as soon as possible and get him out of there and just go have the operation on the hand and heal it properly.
He caught a heck of a time trying to get in shape for that fight. With the problem with the hand, we couldn't spar regular. But I pulled teeth and I got the job done.
He's razor sharp for this one. You couldn't be happier, or how is it?
He will be sharper on fight night than anyone's ever seen him before.
It's going to be a fun night. We've been working hard. And you know, we look at what we do here as the work. What he does on October 1st is fun. We're billing it as dance night. It's time to go for the dance. It's time for a party.
More of the real life story, of course, in Lennox Lewis' book produced this week. And Barry McGuigan, one of the most fascinating things in the book is the story behind the training camp. These guys are super professional. They leave nothing to chance. We hear that in the build-up to the fight against Gary Mason, Correa had X's marked on the head guards of the sparring partners so that they'd know the eye that Mason had had trouble with before and that Lennox could work on it. They leave nothing to chance. Do you believe they've done their calculations right this time?
Well, that remains to be seen, but obviously preparation is absolutely essential. Preparation for a world title fight is absolutely it's imperative that it's done properly. I listened to what Courtney Shan said there. He said, well, the work's done here and it's fun on the night. I wouldn't exactly call it fun, but the harder you work in the gym, the harder you prepare, the easier you make it in there.
Try this for size. 200 rounds of sparring with 5 different partners, 450 miles of road work, 120 rounds pounding the heavy bag, 120 rounds on the speed ball, 150 rounds working the pads held by your trainer, George Francis, and then just to wind down, 180 miles of evening stroll. That's what's going to the offices like for Frank Bruno, his preparation for this moment.
I'm about to go boom!
This is Bruno's backyard, the town of Brentwood in Essex, an air of well-to-do calm on the fringes of suburbia. Bruno and family have found tranquility and security here. He's a church-going man. The locals know he's around, but nobody bothers him much. For a boy who started out in a reform school himself, Bruno has come a long, long way. Training headquarters for this fight are also on Bruno's manor, but a big change to the normal routine here. Bruno, the fanatical trainer, has always seemed to enjoy the sacrifice of leaving familiar surroundings behind. This time, he's done the hard work at the Bell House School. But for Bruno, gym is the only subject on the timetable. The surroundings may be different, but the camp is as disciplined and dedicated as ever. Bruno and George Francis start work early and leave nothing to chance. They're also not afraid of trying something new. Keith Morton, a new conditioning trainer, a man with a message.
Stamina, strength, suppleness, and a lot of positive thinking, mental conditioning, which is very important. We've, again, hit it from various different angles to make sure the variation's there to avoid boredom and get the maximum results. We'll give you a rough idea. Again, the frequency of training can be up to 6 times a week and up to twice a day. It's a combination of general strength training, using floor exercising and using some very special machines called air machines, which again are very safe for the body without damaging it. We've also done a lot of stamina work in the form of jogging, walking up hills with weight jackets on, various different ways of doing it, with a lot of swimming, which has helped the mobility and flexibility as well as the general stamina, heart and lungs. We've done a lot of stretching exercises, which again has been in the form of exercise on the floor. We've also brought in, to help the flexibility, a lot of karate. And the karate really has helped his flexibility, his mobility, his coordination and his basic reactions. And more importantly, I feel the karate has provided great variation, and also for positive thinking, it's given him an even stronger mind, which is very useful.
When Bruno came looking for a general fitness coach in the aftermath to defeat by Tyson, he found a trainer with expert knowledge of mobility and suppleness, not the traditional way, and it took some getting used to.
He's only 23. He hasn't been to Loughborough College, but he's got a knack of doing these things. And when Frank first approached me, you know, I don't have anybody where I'm from. I don't trust anybody with my person except myself. And I was very reluctant, but then when I saw him at work, and he wasn't a bullshit, excuse me swearing, he was a genuine article, I've encouraged it, and it's shown its results, because Frank needs a lot of stretching, a lot of loosening, more than anyone I've ever trained. So I think it's a good added person to the team. You know, like, I've trained all those champions, but it can't make me big-headed. It means I've done it my way. But you mustn't be an ostrich and put your head in the sand and nothing's happening around there. There's young guys coming along with modern ideas. And like Holyfield, I realised that it's good to take up every little thing that we think would give us an edge. And I think we've been very, very slow because, like, you know, all the top trainers I know, they do their own thing. And I don't say they're afraid of someone coming in, but they keep them away like I've done. But I think if you're going to be progressive, you've got to bring new ideas. And if they help, then give them a try.
There's a lot of mental preparation going on because, like, the things I've got to do before, me and George used to run for about 35, 40 minutes and do some exercise, what lasting about an hour in the morning. Now I'm training 2 hours in the morning and bringing up, doing so many different things, and I'm getting stretched much more, and I feel much more flexibility, and he conditions my mind as well as my body, you know, in different things that he does. Talking to me, putting me through different programs, things what I didn't think human possible that I could do, weights that I couldn't, you know what I mean, think normally I couldn't do, you know what I mean, things, stretching. It's like a yoga he's bringing in. The things what I do is just unbelievable. I feel that a complete different new person.
But it doesn't come easily for any athlete to change himself past the age of 30.
Frank was a very tight guy when he was younger, and that's the first thing I noticed when I took over his training. And whether it was, I have to be careful what I say, whether it was anything around it, I don't know, but he used to tighten up before fights, you know, and because I used to round him, what's the matter with you? And why, you know, loosen up.
How much is the specific training that you've put together with Frank geared to encountering Lennox Lewis in the ring?
Well, I think there's always has been a great deal of study on each of Frank's opponents in video form, and you know I'm very, very fortunate to have an exceptional person with George Francis. He's an extremely good trainer, and I've never come across a guy quite like it. I've learned so much. I've made a lot of mistakes, but I've learned so much from him. And as I said to you before, if I only learn half of what George knows, in 20 years' time I'd be very happy. So really, he's been advising me to work with certain areas that will help Frank, and I've then gone away, sat down, thought, and tried to, again, relate it to how we can improve it from a fitness point of view. And we've done a lot of specific circuit-type training with certain movements, using various equipment, to improve certain movements that will be beneficial to worry Lennox Lewis.
Bruno retains the magnetic quality, the genuine warmth that attracts fans of all ages. But he admits he can become withdrawn and moody in the build-up to a fight.
What's he like to work with from a personal point of view? Because you obviously have to establish a personal relationship with anybody you're teaching.
Sure, well, as I said before, it's always on a one-to-one basis, so, you know, you've got to get on with the person. I get on with most people, but Frank is extremely good to work with. He's a very affable guy, he's a lovely guy. Where people get the idea that he hasn't got a nasty streak, I will never know, because when he channels it now, believe me, he's nasty. I know for a fact that he wants it so badly, and he's in the best shape of his life, mentally, physically, that I would find it hard to believe that when someone said, oh, he's lost that, it's just another one. I think this is a totally different ballgame. His training methods have changed so dramatically that I think you can't compare the fights. This is a completely different fight, and there's also a lot of personal desire to win this fight as well.
I'm about to go boom!
Yes, he's as impressive as ever, isn't he? But Barry McGuigan, the criticisms of Bruno's training camp, number one, he hasn't even gone away from home to train this time.
Yeah, that's an unusual thing. Normally you need to get away from your family to prepare for a fight. Even if you can see them at the weekends, well and good, but you need to be away from them and away from that environment. That's unusual, the fact that he's trained at home. But he seems to be more relaxed, I don't know. Certainly, of what I've seen with this new trainer, Keith Morton, the one thing he's instilled in him and seems to have worked on is his flexibility. Seems to be a more supple fighter. I don't think he can change a guy completely, but he certainly seems to have made him more supple.
Interesting. Listen, let's go back upstairs to the VIP lounge where all the celebrities are now arriving. Anna Walker's found some more interesting people to talk to.
Well, we've mixed with pop stars up here and stars from the world of sport, and now with me is one of Wales's favourite daughters, Catherine Zeta-Jones, well-known actress. What are you doing here, Catherine? You into boxing?
I'm not, no. It's the first time I've ever been to a boxing match, professional or amateur. That's my dad who's dragged me along. He's an avid fan, so we're going to have a nice evening.
And before I ask you who's going to win, let's talk a bit about Wales and what this means to Wales, because it's such a big occasion, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's, you know, we have the rugby, which unfortunately they're not doing too well. Don't say that. The boys are in. Yeah, I think it's great that, you know, you think a little village in Iowa knows where Cardiff is and what the Welsh are all about.
Now, everybody's really worried about the weather here. Is it always like this?
Oh, listen, this is just a little trickle. I mean, I was brought up with this. I mean, I live on the coast, and it's like, you know, the blizzards are happening down there. Oh, this is a little trickle, and what the problem is.
It should be a terrific event anyway. Now, who are you going for? I won't ask you anything technical, because I know you don't want to talk boxing, really.
I warned you not to say anything technical. I don't know anything about it.
Who's it going to be, then, Bruno or Lewis?
I don't know. I think public opinion is Lewis, and I'm going with that. But I'd love to see Frankie do it, you know? But yeah, I don't know. I'm just here for the good time and the party and the camaraderie, and I want to sing the Welsh national anthem and things like that, you know? So proud.
Okay, terrific, Catherine. I know you're extremely busy yourself with doing Catherine Cooks and dramas and all that sort of thing, so thanks for sparing the time to come and talk to us here.
Pleasure.
And we'll look forward to the game later on.
We were out for dinner last night.
It's getting pretty crowded in there, isn't it? We're moments away now from fight time, I have to tell you. The big news is that the fight time has been brought forward, so the crowd is really starting to fit in quickly now. We're going to try to take advantage in the break of the weather, fingers crossed that it will last, and fight time has been pulled forward by, we think, 20 minutes. So if you're just coming in, perfect timing. If you've been with us, keep on staying with us, because it's not going to be far away now. Now the ring, which is the crucial thing, there's been rain in the air, but this is the new canvas down, and it's being covered to ensure that when Lewis and Bruno go out to fight, it will be dry. Henry Cooper will remember 1966 when he fought for the world crown. Henry's working on one of the radio stations here tonight, but it's live on Sky Sports, as indeed other top things are over this weekend. Sunday midday goals on Sunday. Anna Walker and John Salako looking back to the top goals from the top flight on Saturday. Superbikes as well. Super Sunday, Tottenham Hotspur versus Everton from White Hart Lane. And on Monday night football, Manchester City against Oldham Athletic from Main Road. But I somehow doubt that the crowd will be quite as big as we're expecting it here in Cardiff. We're anticipating 35,000 people. The last time there was a world title fight in this stadium was 1944. It was a British lightweight title. I don't somehow think it will quite make history in the way it will here tonight.
You're watching Sky Sports.
Sky Sports coverage of the WBC Heavyweight Championship of the World is sponsored by Reebok.
The fight is over. Ali piles on the pressure, raining punches in all directions. Ali's all business in there now. He senses the end. Oh, some good shots from Bruno, and he's got it, and he's first the champion.
The WBC World Heavyweight Championship.
All I'm going to do, I'm going to let my fist do the talking.
Frank Bruno prepared to meet the worst nightmare.
Hope you've enjoyed the show so far, but believe me, it's all about to begin. Let's get to ringside, our commentator, Ian Dark.
And in under 10 minutes time from now, we expect Frank Bruno to be making his entrance into this arena. The lights picked out there on the canopy over the ring. The good news is that the rain has stopped. There are covers on the actual canvas, almost like a test match wicket overnight. It's being covered up to keep it dry, and that's good news. There are lots and lots of celebrities at ringside, real showbiz atmosphere. Let's join our MC, Mike Goodall.
Ladies and gentlemen, our celebrities this evening come from all around the globe. They come from the football world, the entertainment world, boxing, athletics. We welcome them all this evening. Britain's former heavyweight, everyone's favourite. It's lovely to see him here tonight, Billy Walker. From the swimming world, Sharon Davis. From the football world, John Regis. From athletics, Tony Jarrett and Derek Redmond. Pauline Quirk and Lenny Henry are with us this evening from Off the Box. Former featherweight champion of the world, Howard Winston. Wales's very own European flyweight champion, Robbie Regan. We also welcome Phil Collins and Genesis this evening. Former flyweight champion of the world, Charlie McRae. Former light heavyweight champion of the world, John Conte. DJ, everyone's favourite, Mike Smith is with us. From the athletics world, Linford Christie, Colin Jackson. And we also welcome the boss of Virgin with us this evening, Richard Branson. And also, I'm sure you'd like to join me in welcoming, working for Sky Television this evening, former cruiserweight champion of the world, Glenn McCorry. And of course, working for HBO from America, the former heavyweight champion of the world, George Foreman.
are just some of the many, many big names who are gathered here. It's an atmosphere that is high in tension, dripping with drama, real sporting theatre in this stadium that has seen so many famous moments down the years. And another one we feel about to unfold. Frank Bruno at this moment will be just working out in his dressing room. Shadow boxing, I'm sure, the same to Lennox Lewis. They'll want to come in warm on this cold, cold night in Cardiff.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please be upstanding for the Welsh National Anthem to be sung for us this evening by Jason Howard of Merthyr Tydfil, international opera singer.
Absolutely brilliant. You can understand why visiting rugby union teams playing Wales know that they kind of get the impression they're playing away from home, Glenn McCrory.
That's right. It's absolutely fabulous here. The atmosphere is really good. What a brilliant singer. Really got us in the mood.
What about the two fighters now, Glenn? You've been through moments like this leading to a world title fight. What will be going through their mind now as the moment of destiny, as it were, approaches?
Well, these last couple of minutes are the worst minutes. You're right before the fight, the worst possible time. They'll be very nervous. They just want to hear the words, "You're next, it's time to go," and then everything stops. They're ready to go, and all of a sudden they're full of confidence.
Now there's the Lennox Lewis dressing room. That's Pepe Correa, the trainer, and he's going to come into the ring glistening. How does he look to you, Glenn?
Looks very well, as usual, in superb condition. Nice and relaxed he looks. He's going to have to warm up very well in that dressing room. It is a major factor that they're not cold when they come out, because that can be very, very bad.
Always seems so laid back, Lennox Lewis, but for this fight he's very motivated. Frank Maloney was saying whatever button Frank Bruno has pushed here, I wished other people would push it as well, because he's fired up and he's really, in plain language, he wants to go out there and do a real job on Bruno, I think.
Well, I think one of the things that Lewis has always been noted for is he's very calm, he's very relaxed, he has his plan and he follows that. I hope that he doesn't, because Bruno's such a sporting figure, such a big hero, that he doesn't try to do something different, that he doesn't take unnecessary chances, and that he follows the same game plan.
So Frank Bruno, I'm sure, will be going through similar things backstage. But I must say, when he arrived earlier, he was chewing gum, he was so jaunty, Bruno, and he looked like a man who really did believe that the big shot was on for him.
He does. It's always very hard to tell. You can never tell whether they're very nervous and it's a little bit of an act, or whether he did look very up, very fired up, very happy, very calm. You know, he looks very good, Frank.
Well, you can see now how big the crowd has built to. They were somewhere up around the 30,000 mark. There are a few empty seats up in the stand, but remember, when they have an international here, they don't have all these people on the pitch as well. The ticket prices ranging from 25 to 250 pounds.
It's an absolutely fabulous arena as well for boxing. It's so close. The atmosphere is fabulous.
We're hearing from backstage that there's a slight delay with the fighters coming out because the doctors are still examining them. Big security presence as well, as always, and that's good to see. Everything is set here. We just now really await the entry of the gladiators, as it were, Glenn.
That's right, and I'm sure it'll be very quickly. They'll be fired up and ready to go.
What about this business this week, Glenn, with the writ that was issued by the Bruno camp against Lennox Lewis for those remarks referring to him as an Uncle Tom? Was that just a psychological ploy, or do they really mean business, do you think?
I'm not really sure. I heard about it. I'm not really sure. It could just be another way of trying to unnerve Lennox. I mean, all sorts of things happen at this sort of time, and it could be just Frank, you know, they're trying to unnerve him, trying to rattle him a little bit. There we see he's getting the final preparations. They're putting the Vaseline on just before he's ready to go out. That saves him putting too much on in the ring.
Well, he meditates, Lennox Lewis, sometimes for relaxation, and it looks like he's doing something like that there. He also sleeps in the dressing room before fights. You can't believe that, can you?
A lot of fighters do that. A lot of fighters try and relax, obviously there's a lot of emotion and a lot of nerves going on, but they try and relax and try and, you know, get as focused as they can. They're trying to get their mind 100% tunnel vision, 100% on the job in hand, and I think that's what we've seen Lennox doing there.
But sleeping in the dressing room, have you ever heard of that?
Well, he's very good if he can just totally switch off and go to sleep. A lot of them lie there and shut their eyes, but they're still very nervous.
The man has a real veneer, a shield around him, which sometimes seems almost impenetrable, and it's a great temperament to have when you're a professional boxer at this level. Well, among the many celebrities here, one of the great old heavyweights of old, one of the most marquee ticket sellers of all time in Britain, Billy Walker. He's with Gary Norman.
Thanks, Paul, you're right. A blonde bomber, not so blonde these days,
no,
Billy.
It's going a bit dark in the dark. It's still hanging around, though.
You'll know what this feels like. Just sum up this atmosphere. It's electric.
Lovely atmosphere, wonderful. Everyone's, it's beautiful. I mean, when are you ever going to get two heavyweights fighting for the heavyweight championship of the world?
Absolutely right. How do you see it going?
Love to see Frank win. Known him for years, but I've got to go for Lewis.
In these conditions, what would you do if you were in the ring? Get it over with quickly?
I've got always get it over with quickly if you can. Yeah. But you know, I think Lewis has got to be careful of Frank in the first few rounds because he's got a good puncher, and I feel that he's going to try and end it quick if he can. But the longer it goes, I think the more it's in Lewis's favour.
So you're for Lewis?
Yes, around about eight round items.
All right, thanks, Billy. Yeah. Back to you, Paul.
Thanks very much to Billy Walker, talking there to Gary Norman. Up with me, Barry McGuigan, the former world featherweight champion. Time for your final assessments, please, Barry.
Right. Well, I think that if the fight goes the way that Frank will want it, he will want to entice Lewis into a brawl in the first few rounds. If Lewis is doing things right, he'll keep him on the end of a long jab. He'll want to outpoint him with the jab and frustrate him, and then eventually take advantage of that frustration and hone in with that huge, big right hand of his.
There's a bit of a delay just while the doctors go in to complete their final medical checks inside the two dressing rooms. Glenn downstairs was saying, Barry, that this is the worst time of all for the fighters. You've been in this situation, indeed, waiting to go out to fight in public arenas like this.
Well, for some, Paul, it's the worst, and for some it's the best time. It depends who you are, depends how psyched up you are and what you're like psychologically. The preparation is all done now. You're at the point of no return. You've got your mind fixed on what you got to do. You've got your tactics set in your mind. If they don't work, you got another set of tactics to work with. And at this stage, you should be focused.
It's a very, very emotional atmosphere down there. Is this going to be an enemy or a friend to the boxers?
It all depends on who can control it. I like to think that the crowd is like fire. You can use fire to heat your house and to boil your water. If you don't control it, it'll burn your house down. It's the same thing with the crowd. You've got to control the crowd and allow yourself to be able to do what you've set out to do, plan your fight and be able to go in there and carry out that plan.
The crowd is in. The fighters are getting ready down in the ring. Mickey Van waits for the entrance of the two gladiators. Just a temporary delay while the final medical checks are taking place in the dressing rooms, but we're just a couple of moments away. And while we wait, let's go back to Gary Norman with a Welsh sporting hero, I think.
Thanks, Paul. One of Wales's favourite sons, Colin Jackson, the world 110-metre hurdles record holder and champion. Just sum up, this is unbelievable, this atmosphere.
This is absolutely incredible. I've been here for a few rugby matches, but I've never seen an atmosphere like this for a boxing match, never.
Don't often see you at boxing matches because you're busy around the world. Who do you fancy for this one?
You know, I was watching your poll earlier. The nation wants Frank to win, and the polls are saying Lennox, so it's going to be really close. And I'm just here to watch and pray that no one gets seriously hurt. That's the key thing.
You're not going to say either way which way it'll go.
I really haven't got an opinion on that. I cannot really say who's going to win. I think it's going to be that close.
A quick line from you. How much better can you go? You can't get a lot better than what you did this year. What's next for Colin Jackson?
I think I want to take the world record to realms that no one else can reach it. That's my goal.
All right, well, you and Tony Jarrett have done a marvellous job for us. Back to you. Over to Ian, I think.
Yes, thanks very much indeed. Colin Jackson, who, of course, is a big folk hero in Wales after his amazing summer. That's the aerial view. And we've had fireworks here. We've had an emotional rendering of the national anthem. Catherine Zeta-Jones, one of the showbiz stars here. And we think we are something like 2.5 minutes away from the entry of Frank Bruno. I see Lloyd Hunnigan down there. Here's another famous face, Richard Branson. He always seems to be in that sweater, doesn't he? Doesn't matter where you are. 1 o'clock in the morning, he's still in the sweater, Glenn.
I'd have a feeling that he'll have quite a few sweaters, Ian. I don't think that's the same one he's got on all the time.
Well, I wish he'd lend me one.
We could do, it's overcoats we need.
Las Vegas this isn't, in terms of heat anyway, but in terms of atmosphere, it's the match, definitely, of any big Las Vegas promotion. There is a real electricity in the air in Cardiff, and the good news is, after all that slip-in and a slide-in on the canvas earlier on with Carlos Chase in action, is dry, and we pray that it remains so. We do not want this reduced to some kind of farce with the canvas getting wet. It's nice and dry in there at the moment, and I don't think it's a problem for the moment, Glenn.
It isn't. I think hopefully the worst of it's over. We got a little spill in the last fight, and now as long as it can keep off, it'll be great. I'd hate to see that spoiled such a great spectacle for Britain.
It is only the 6th ever world heavyweight title fight in Great Britain. It's the first ever in Wales. There's been Gunnar Moyer against Tommy Burns, Jack Palmer against Tommy Burns. Those were back in the early part of the century. Henry Cooper against Muhammad Ali at Highbury. 42,000 fans there that night. Brian London against Muhammad Ali at Earls Court. And Frank Bruno's fight with Tim Witherspoon at Wembley Stadium. The crowd that night was 29,000. I would think it's something fairly similar to that here tonight at the National Stadium. Now the VIP lounge, thronging with celebrities earlier. None of them are there now. They're all down here, and they know where it's all about to happen. Some people have questioned this as a venue, notably Mickey Duff, who promotes Frank Bruno. He said it's wonderful to see the fight in Wales and the people are lovely, but as a commercial proposition it should have been in London. That's a continuing debate, of course, but you can't match this atmosphere, I would say. Here's Mike Goodall again, our MC.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Marquis of Queensberry rules brought boxing into modern times exactly 101 years ago in 1892. tonight history is to be made, because for the first time ever, 2 British boxers will contest a World Heavyweight Championship. Ladies and gentlemen, the challenger for the WBC Heavyweight Championship of the World, Frank Bruno!
Emerges for his third and probably last chance to fulfill his mission of becoming heavyweight champion of the world. He says, when I get in this ring, I'm going to explode like a time bomb. And Mickey Duff, his promoter, says, you're going to see a different Frank Bruno tonight. Well, is that all hype, or will it really happen? He's 2 months away from his 32nd birthday. Frank Bruno has had his critics, but you have to admire what he's achieved in his life. He says he could have ended up as a black Bonnie Biggs. Instead, this Essex man has become Britain's most popular fighter since Henry Cooper. And there's one crucial difference about this man and the early Bruno. He's battle-hardened now. He's been there before. He knows what it's about. Can he do it, Glenn McCrory?
I think he has an excellent chance, a very, very good chance. He's up for this fight. He doesn't have anything to lose this time. I think the country expected him. He'd been guided. They expected that he'd win the world title last time. And I think this time there's no pressure on him. He's out there. He's in great frame of mind. And I think he has an excellent chance of doing it.
There's been a swagger about Bruno this week. He arrived at this arena tonight chewing gum and looking extremely jaunty. This was not a man who was frozen with fear at the prospect of getting in with Lennox Lewis. And I think he wants this. I've known him a long time. I think he wants this so much that it almost hurts. And in the later stages, if it becomes a tough, long fight, desire to win is a big, big factor. This is the challenger, Frank Bruno. Bruno entering the ring amid fantastic theatre and fireworks at Cardiff Arms Park. Has to be said, in 2 previous attempts at this level, he's been found wanting against Tim Witherspoon and against Mike Tyson. Stamina has proved a problem in the past, but he's more relaxed now and more mature. And remember, he went 10 rounds last time with Carl the Truth Williams. And there's something of the showbiz star in Bruno now. He milks the moment. How does he look to you, Glenn?
He looks very well. He looks very focused, very calm, relaxed. I think he enjoyed it. He got a great reception when he came in. I think he really enjoyed it.
That's interesting. They've got those plastic bags around his feet to stop, I think, the boot soles getting wet.
That's right, on the way, and they won't want his feet to get wet, you know, so he brings any water into the ring, which could make him slip very early on.
Now, Frank Bruno won't to be kept waiting too long in the temperatures here, which are dropping almost by the minute as we close in on 1 a.m. But nothing, I think, is going to deflect Bruno's mind now after the weeks and weeks of work in that tent in the school where his little girls are taught. We await the entry of the champion, Lennox Lewis.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the WBC Heavyweight Champion of the World, Lennox Lewis!
That's Ollie Dunlap leading Lewis out, the camp coordinator. And there's the champion. His brother Dennis. And that's what it's all about tonight. The WBC's belt, once thrown in the dustbin by Riddick Bowe. But don't forget, the reason he threw it in the dustbin is because he didn't fancy the idea very much of meeting Lennox Lewis at that time. There's Eugene Maloney, brother of Frank, there with the short cropped hair, real character in the camp, security man, and Lewis, as always, looking so cool. Age 28, 3 3/4 years younger than Bruno, 9 pounds lighter at 16 stone 5, and maybe the fastest and most athletic heavyweight since the incomparable Muhammad Ali. Cool, classy, and on form. Rightfully, he starts the favourite tonight. Bruno waits for him. Don't let the amiable, softly spoken manner fool you. Lewis, like most fighters at this level, would probably mug his own grandmother once he climbed through the ropes. It takes that kind of meanness to succeed at this giddy level of world boxing. But there are questions. We've yet to see him in a life and death struggle under intense pressure. We've yet to see how his chin reacts under a real power punch, and Bruno could be the one to deliver such a power punch, Glenn.
Certainly, he certainly has the physical strength to bull Lennox Lewis around. He certainly has the punching power to hurt any heavyweight in the world.
Big Frank, seems a long time ago he made his debut against that Mexican Lupe Guerra in 1982. It's his 5th comeback fight. Just look at Frank. It's a long, long way out there, and it's taking a long time for Lennox Lewis. He's got some fans there, and it'll be interesting to see the cheers when the two fighters are actually announced in the ring. You might get an idea of what percentage are pro-Bruno and what percentage pro-Lewis. The expectation is, with the cult figure kind of following that Bruno has, particularly among people who don't normally take too much interest in boxing, that maybe they'll be pro-Bruno, but we'll see. Lewis, his popularity is growing. The Battle of Britain, history in the making. Call it what you like, but it's tense and it's important, and this is big-time sport. What's he look like to you now, Glenn?
He looks very good. He looked very good when he was coming out. Very relaxed, very focused, as he always does. It was noticeable. He's glistening, so it looks like he's done a good warm-up. He'll have the Vaseline on already, which will make him, which will keep him warm. But I think he'll have done a very good warm-up one to keep nice and warm, ready for a fast start.
Against Tony Tucker last time, I thought Lewis looked so relaxed. I thought he was going to go to sleep in the corner before the fight, but he looks a bit more up, doesn't he, this time?
I think he's going to have to be. I think obviously this is a more nervous experience for him. It's a big British fight. He's got a lot to prove tonight. So I think mentally he will be very, very up.
chance of Bruno. There's the tail of the tape. Bruno, the older man by nearly 4 years, 3 3/4 years, 31 to 28. The taller man is Lewis, but the reach advantage by an inch is for Frank Bruno. The weight, interesting. Bruno, the second heaviest ever at 17 stone. He was heavier against Kurtzer, and Lennox Lewis, 16 stone 5. That's 6 pounds lighter than for Tony Tucker. He's probably trained for speed and mobility. Big plus points always for him. What about the rules for the fight? No standing 8 count. The 3 knockdown rule is not in operation. That is, if there are 3 knockdowns in a round, it doesn't constitute an automatic stoppage, as in some other rules. The bell can only save a fighter in the last round, and only the referee, that's Mickey Van, can stop the fight. Now, in the event of an interruption from the weather, and we have to consider this open air and with rain about, if it interferes in under 3 rounds, it will be a no decision, in which case Lewis would carry on being champion. After that, say it was stopped in the 4th round because the conditions were wrong, they would go to the scorecards, and whoever was winning would be declared the winner. Now that really would be very, very contentious indeed. We hope and pray that it does not happen here. If it goes the full 12 rounds, these are the men who will score the fight. Jerry Roth from the United States, Adrian Morgan from Pontypridd, he's 65, he's about to retire as a British referee, and Tony Castellano, another experienced American official.
The officials appointed for this contest by the World Boxing Council are the supervisor in charge, Sir David Hopkin, the British Boxing Board of Control supervisor, Mr. John Morris, the timekeeper this evening, Mr. Ivor Campbell. The judges at ringside are Mr. Tony Castellano of Las Vegas, USA, and Mr. Jerry Roth of Las Vegas, USA, and Mr. Adrian Morgan of Caerleon in Wales. The man in charge of the action tonight, officiating in his 23rd World Championship, Mr. Mickey Van of Leeds, England. My lords, ladies and gentlemen, this contest is promoted by Frank Maloney for Paddocks Promotions and Main Events in association with National Promotions, who proudly present History in the Making, and is sponsored by Cardiff Bay Developments. This is a contest of 12 3-minute rounds of boxing to decide the WBC Heavyweight Championship of the World. In the blue corner, wearing white shorts with red trim from Essex, England, the challenger, ranked undisputedly number 5 by all world bodies, a former ABA heavyweight champion whose professional record from 39 fights reads 36 wins, 3 losses, 35 wins coming by way of KO. The former undefeated European heavyweight champion, Frank Bruno.
Is this the night that the dream is realised for him?
In the red corner, wearing red shorts with white trim, from East London, the former amateur world junior super heavyweight champion, Commonwealth Games gold medalist and Olympic Games gold medalist. His professional record, he is undefeated in 23 contests, 19 by way of KO. The former undefeated British, Commonwealth and European heavyweight champion, he comes to the ring tonight as the undisputed WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Lennox Lewis.
Well, pretty good hand for Lennox Lewis as well. Not as big, I think, as the one for Bruno, but he's got lots of
scaled 17 stone exactly, 238 pounds.
That's
Lewis,
Lewis's mum, Violet, you saw at
16 stone,
ringside.
5 pounds, 229 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, the WBC Heavyweight Championship of the world.
Lennox Lewis, 16 stone 5, Frank Bruno, 17 stone. The referee, Mickey Van, age 49, who runs his own skip hire business in Leeds. The 4th time he's refereed a world title fight. This is the biggest night of his refereeing career by far. Mickey Duff, the promoter of Bruno, objected to Van after the controversy he was in America in the Chavez-Whitaker fight recently. That made the big headlines over there.
Back up. Alright, you both had your instructions, you know what it's about. You conduct yourself in the manner of champions. Right? I don't take no shit off either of you. Shake hands, back in your corners, shake hands with your toe. And shake hands, right?
Well, they shake hands reluctantly.
Right, listen, just a minute, alright? Don't give me no shit. Right?
Oh, Mickey Van recoursing to the industrial language and just reading the riot act to Pepe Correa a moment. Well, there was a bit of ill feeling there right from the word go. There's been quite a lot of hype. It's been a bit of a grudge match in the build-up, and we're all set to go. Lennox Lewis makes his 2nd defence of the WBC heavyweight title. Frank Bruno, at 31, attempts to win it for the 3rd time. Due to go 12 rounds, but will it?
Over there, over there, over there. Round 1. Wait for the bell.
And away they go. Bruno, we don't really need the identification in the white shorts. Oh, big sharp jab from Lennox Lewis early on, thrown with great hand speed. Lewis, on paper, is the better mover of the two, and the jab was a good one. He's landed it 3 times already, Glenn.
He's landed it, snapping out very well. He's moving around as well. He's using that little bit of movement, and he's tried that big right hand twice.
Remember how Lennox Lewis overwhelmed Razor Ruddock in a couple of rounds. He's looked a bit of a puncher in his last 2 fights. Bruno, for the moment, just biding his time. It's a big moment in this fight when Bruno lands with one of his big bombs for the first time. Because Lewis's chin is largely untested.
Already Bruno's gone for a couple of jabs to the body. That's a dangerous move, because that's what cost Ruddock the loss in that fight. Nice stiff jab from Frank.
The faster start, and there Lewis just slipping and losing his footing a moment in that corner. Lewis has made the more confident start, but he's got this way of holding his gloves pretty low by his side. The head is open if you can time the punch and find the chin, but the reflexes are good too.
Frank's good. He's took the centre of the ring. He looks very strong, and he's using that jab well. Lennox is moving around, just trying to get Frank off balance that little bit.
Decent little right uppercut inside from Bruno there. There's no doubt about it, Bruno is trying to slow Lewis down. That seems to be a ploy by going for body shots.
I think we've just seen Bruno with 2 good jabs, and that's a key weapon for Frank. He's got to have a good stiff jab.
He's landed 3 times in succession with the jab, Bruno. He's starting to have some success. They're both good jabbers, and it might be a key point in this fight, which of them is the more effective with it. There was some talk pre-fight that Bruno might be so fired up that he would come out very fast and maybe a little carelessly, but he always said that he'd take it coolly, and he did in that opening round. How did you score that one, Ben?
Well, I thought that was it was a very close round. They were both just trying to get it started. They were parrying for Romans, and it was predominantly the use of the jab there. But Frank come up well with it, a very even round. And I think just because Frank had the middle of the ring and maybe threw a few more jabs that landed, he could have stole that round.
Frank Bruno's 40th professional fight in 11 years. Now, there's Lewis's jab. He was effective with it early, but Bruno came back quite well.
He did, that's where we see. And that's where he got success, because he threw 2. And later on in the round, he threw 3.
Lewis being kept warm between the rounds with a big blanket. Second round for the WBC Heavyweight Championship.
Frank's keeping his own left hand pretty high after that jab. He obviously sees that big right hand from Lennox as a danger.
Bruno, a mellower, more mature model these days. A man whose career has twice been threatened by eye injury. Bruno looks very confident in these early stages, occupying centre ring and boxing to an obviously pre-orchestrated game plan, pumping out his jab, and it's not been a bad start this for Bruno.
It's a very good start. He is very, very up for this. He looks as if he's very focused, and he's taking the fight to Lennox right from the beginning, but he's doing it sensibly behind a good jab.
Only the 24th fight of Lennox Lewis's career compared to the 40th of Bruno's. Bruno does have experience on his side. Lewis does have these periods in fights where he just seems to switch off and not do a lot, and that seems to be the case in this second round so far. Bruno's making the running.
He is, but I think Lennox is catching the shots well. Bruno's sticking that jab out, but Lennox is just parrying it nice with his own right hand. So he's using a good defense and keeping pretty elusive. Good shots from Bruno.
Look to let that big right hand go there, Bruno. It didn't land cleanly. And the left hook from Bruno with good hand speed.
That's a good point. Frank is looking very fast in this fight. He started very good very early, and he looks very sharp.
Well, he's certainly trained, I know, for extra mobility and flexibility. 2 more jabs, chance of Bruno, ring around Cardiff Arms Park. He catches Lewis again. Optimistic signs for Bruno. And the 2 of them there clubbing away, and Mickey Van trying to get in between those 2 big men. 34-stoner heavyweight in there. And now Mickey Van wants to have a chat with them.
Hello, over there. All right? Fucking disgrace. Don't give me no shit, either of you. All right? Because I don't mind taking points off any of you. All right?
Mickey Van looking to impose his control on the 2 of them.
He's got to do that. These are 2 very big guys, and if it starts to get a little bit naughty, if they start to foul each other, it's going to become a mess.
That was Bruno's round, I think.
Definitely a very good round from Frank there. He's very up, and he's really going for it.
Welcome back live to Cardiff Arms Park. The big showdown between Lennox Lewis and Frank Bruno, about to enter its 3rd round, and it's been a good start for the underdog Bruno. They take the wraps off Lennox Lewis again. Lewis in the red shorts. For those of you who need identification, I can't imagine there are too many. Lewis needing to just maybe reimpose himself in this round and starting fast.
Yes, I think he's been told that in the corner. He's been told he's got to take the fight to Bruno, and he's done that. A good double jab and right hand.
There are the scoring punches so far in the first couple of rounds. 23 each. It's close. That's a good overhand right from Bruno. Did Lewis take that? He looks in a spot of bother. And Bruno looks to follow up. Remember how he had Mike Tyson going in the first round in his last attempt to win a world title. That shook Lewis up a little bit, but he's still there. Key moment in the fight, that, Glenn.
A very good moment. Good shots from Bruno. He's very sharp, he's very fast, and that took Lewis by surprise, and I'm sure that did hurt him. Lewis has got to fight back strong from this. He's got to stamp his authority on this fight.
This is an excellent performance so far from Bruno. Can he keep this up? Lewis starting the round very fast, looking to impose himself. Bruno coming in with that crashing punch, and Lewis looked bothered by it, but he didn't go down, and he's still there.
I think Bruno's getting the success because he's using his strength, he's forcing the fight, and he's using a very good jab. Good moments for Frank.
There's a slightly worried look on Lewis's face at the moment. And Bruno, there's no doubt about it, is giving him a hard time. This is not the fight a lot of people expected to watch.
Lewis is neglecting that jab a little bit. He's looking, I think he's a little bit perplexed by Frank's success, and he's trying for that big overhand right rather than trying to keep up with his jab. Lewis has got to get his own jab working.
He's got his gloves down very low as well, Lewis, and he was caught by that right hand of Bruno's. He may be dicing with danger a little bit with the guard that low, but a bit of showboating from Lewis there, just to show Bruno maybe that his confidence is still there. Gone, and Bruno, no doubt about it, landed the biggest punch of the night so far in that one.
Definitely a very good round for Frank. He caught Lewis with some good shots, a good double jab and a right hand, which gave him the best success of the fight so far. And the corn must be very pleased with Frank.
Now let's see if we can see this punch again, this key moment.
Well, he's using his authority here. He's very strong, he's taking it forward. There's the double jab in the right hand. And Lewis did shake a little bit. He just seemed to get on the tail end of it, but then we see Frank's strength, and this is what we were looking for. Frank to pull him around, use that strength.
Now that was always going to be a crucial moment, how Lewis reacted when Bruno landed with one of his big shots, and he was shaken, but you might say not stirred.
I think that's a good description. He came back from it well.
Fourth round.
Right, box on.
A confident start from Frank Bruno, but you feel that there may be one or two more twists and turns ahead of us. Fascinating stuff after the midnight hour in Cardiff. Now Lewis has been told by the corner, it's quite clear, to get working behind his jab more.
Well, that was a key thing that he had to do, and he was neglecting to do that in the early rounds. He was not using that jab, and he was getting caught. Now he's starting to use it, and he's getting a bit more success. So the corner must have told him, and he's got to keep using it. It's a key weapon in this fight.
And Bruno comes back once again and has success with his really good stiff ramrod jab. That's always been one of the big plus points in his weaponry. battle of the jabs in many ways. The two of them looking to work other openings off the jabs.
The jab is always a key punch, and especially with these two fighters who depend on their jab. They've both got very good shots after the jab, but you've got to get your jab working and landing before you can land them big bombs.
Neither fighter really is slipping too many of those jabs either. They're both landing with a lot of regularity. Lewis is starting each round fast, but then rather switching off in the middle phases of the round. Bruno's been called programmed, stiff, robot-like in the past, but I don't know, for me in his comeback he's looked looser and better than the original model, and this is a good performance from him so far.
So far, very good performance, but the big bombs are coming in from both men now.
Lewis looking to get through with that right, but Bruno was wise to it, got his glove up well.
I think there's a little bit of a mouth developing on Frank's side. It seems to be swelling up a bit, so obviously Lewis's jab, that very fast jab, is getting through.
Lewis is a bit more mobile in this round. He's skipping backwards and sometimes out of range of the jab. In the last 30 seconds, a bit more.
Well, he's getting his own jab going, and he's starting to double it up.
Fascinating battle here. And 4 rounds gone.
Time.
The way we're scoring this so far, just to give you a little guide, Glenn McCrory and I, is identical. 2 rounds to Bruno, 1 to Lewis, with 1 even. And our stats man, Bob Mee, who watches a lot of boxing, kind of agrees with that too. Harold the Shadow Knight whips off the blanket in the corner of Lennox Lewis. Mickey Van, the referee, very anxious to let everybody know that he is in charge. Here's a punch profile so far quickly for you. Lewis 49, Bruno 52, and Lewis complaining that he was punched round the back of the head by Bruno. Lewis, who in the build-up accused Bruno of being a dirty fighter. But when people start complaining to the referee, it's sometimes a sign that they're not entirely comfortable with things.
I think one thing I've never seen with Frank, I've never seen him this determined. He's very, very determined. Anything that Lennox does, he's coming back with something.
The word the Americans like to use is focused, isn't it? And it, I think, sums up
very
Bruno.
focused.
Oh, that's good from Lewis. 2 jabs and then a fast right hand, and Bruno ate all of those up. That really was a classy burst from the champion, but he needs more of that. And every time he does land, Bruno takes the shots and comes back. Again, Lewis is complaining about being held and pulled on the punches from round behind his neck. This is a tough and close fight.
It is very tough and very close. Both men giving it everything. But Lewis is having some tough moments. Frank is keeping control. He's still trying to force this fight behind that good jab.
Well, so far, Frank Bruno is making a few people eat their words here. His jab is working very well for him indeed, but Lewis is having a fair amount of success with his too. Stamina and desire to win could become big factors, you feel, later on in this. This shows every signs of developing into the toughest fight of Lennox Lewis's life.
That's right, we're going to have to see if this goes later into the fight, how the stamina of both men is, because this has been fought at a terrific pace. Good shots from Lewis, beautiful jab.
Lewis just upping the pace a bit. He's done that twice in this round. Double jab, then overhand right hand. Bruno is keeping up A very, very high work rate, though. This is a good fight for the heavyweight title. There were some lovely cameos in that round from Lennox Lewis, but Bruno never allowed the champion to really wrestle the initiative in a big way, did he, Glenn?
He didn't. He let Lennox, obviously it's very close and Lennox is in the fight, and he let Lennox start using that jab a bit, and Lennox threw some good shots. But Frank came back, as we see here, this overhand right, a club and punch, and I think it's unsettling Lewis a little bit. But that was a good combination there from Lennox. That was probably his best shots of the fight. Good double jab with the right hand behind it.
Frank Bruno's had a little bit of a problem, possibly, with that left eye. It's just beginning to swell around the eyelid. It will be a danger for him if it started to close up because of that. Sixth round, live from Cardiff National Stadium, and there's too much grease around Lewis's face. And Pepe Correa is being told by Mickey Van, the referee, to wipe some of that off. There's still an awful lot on there. Sixth round, moving towards the halfway point here. And Lewis, his left eye is just beginning to swell up a bit as well. They've both taken an awful lot of jabs. Lewis, you get the impression, is looking to up the pace a little bit.
A furious start of this round, and Lewis is really letting the big shots go. Big right hand to the body he threw.
Has Lewis got another gear, you wonder, that he's preparing to use? Bruno will certainly want to have got rid of the stamina problems he had early in his career in this one.
Well, it's going to be a very interesting test because the fight's been fought at a terrific pace, and it's bound to take it out of both men at the end of this fight. They're both going to be tired as the rounds go on, and then it's when the defenses get slack and the big shots can come in from either man because they've both got terrific power.
There's a little bit of blood around Lewis's face, and I think it might be just seeping from a cut somewhere near his eye. We'll try to get a closer look at that. Nothing serious at the moment, but they're beginning to develop damage. He was cut against Mike Weaver, Lennox Lewis, and needed 8 stitches. There's been a relentlessness about Frank Bruno in this fight, though.
It is. He's been non-stop. He's been walking forward behind that jab all the time, and I think that by pushing Lennox Lewis back, it's kept him off balance. But he's having a good point here.
Lewis looks more confident in this round, though, to me. He's just got that old arrogance back about him.
That's right. Well, he started to get that bounce in his step, and he started to come forward and push Bruno back. And I think that's very good for Lewis. That's what he's got to try and do.
Lewis, the younger, fresher man. There was a low blow in there from Lewis, a right. Mickey Van steps in to separate them again. It's been a hard night for him. Bruno is so hungry for this, and he's making Lewis work so very, very hard. And again, Bruno there gets a little caution. There's no point deducted for punching behind the head of Lewis.
I think there was no point deducted because Lewis dipped his head down.
Well, I hope you're enjoying this live broadcast from Cardiff. It was a long time coming. There was a lot of hype, but it's proving a very, very good fight, and Frank Bruno is producing one of the best performances, if not the best, of his whole career here. 6 rounds gone, halfway point. I'm scoring the fight even, so is Glenn McCrory. This is the 7th round. They both have a little bit of facial damage. So far, we've got Lewis landing 84 punches and Bruno 83. We have an expert counting the punches as they're landed.
But one thing's for sure, this certainly is a great heavyweight title fight.
Look at Bruno here, coming on top of their left hook, catches him, and Bruno was hurt by that. And now Lewis is looking to close in to finish this, and Bruno is in trouble. Bruno is in big trouble. And Lewis carries on a relentless assault here, pouring on the punishment. These are bad moments for Frank Bruno. Right uppercut, and I think Mickey Van's going to stop it. Or is he? He's called off the assault. Well, that was a contentious incident in the fight. I thought for a moment there he was stopping that right uppercut. Lewis here, and Bruno is on the verge of going. He won't take a lot more, and this time it is stopped, and Lennox Lewis is still the WBC heavyweight champion of the world. But Frank Bruno put up such a brave, courageous performance. He was right in the fight until that moment when Lewis turned on the class and finished the job in clinical fashion. That really was very, very impressive. He's a great finisher, Lennox Lewis, and once he had Bruno going, he was never going to let him off the hook. Lewis is still champion. The Battle of Britain has been won by Lennox Lewis. Mum Violet can celebrate, but they'll have known some anxious moments in that before Lewis concluded the job.
A brilliant finish from Lewis. Frank was just getting through with some good shots of his own, and Lennox showed real heart, real courage. He come out with a brilliant left hook and poured it all on. Some fantastic work there, and I'm just glad the referee stopped it when he did, because Frank was taking some bad shots.
The left hook took everything away, didn't it?
It was a fantastic. He let everything go with that one. Frank just stood, just caught it, bang on, a beautiful shot, and it was all over from that moment.
Well, he's a strange performer, Lennox Lewis. Sometimes you feel he doesn't look that impressive at all. But when he moves into that higher gear, when he catches his man, his ability to get the job finished is quite extraordinary.
Well, that left hook was the one that did the job, because that knocked Frank right, it shuttered him right to his shoes.
Now, here we are. Let's have a look at it. Bruno.
That's where Frank's got the success, and there it is, right on the chin.
That was the one. Look at his legs doing a silly dance as it landed, Bruno.
Oh, he never recovered from them shots. And Lennox, a beautiful finisher who pours it all on. He got the job done. I thought the referee had stopped it the first time. I'm not sure why he didn't wave it over there and what Lewis had done wrong.
I think really why he caught him off is because Lewis was pushing his left glove into Bruno's face, and that's why he made him abandon the assault, but it didn't actually matter in the end.
I'll tell you when.
Lewis here, look, he's just picking the punches. Oh, that right uppercut. That really was the telling final blow, the right uppercut. Rolled his head back like a rag doll, Bruno, and there was no way back from there. No way at all. You may be watching the last moments in the career of one of Britain's most popular fighters.
But you've got to give all respect to him. He put up a marvellous performance. He was so focused. He really went for it. And if this is his song, then he did a great job, and it's a great fight to go out on. He showed nothing but courage. Well, Lennox Lewis, in the end of the day, a fabulous performance.
The way he finished the job was quite brilliant, Lewis. But take your hat off too to Frank Bruno, because every time he has challenged for the world title, he has put up such a brave, courageous effort against Witherspoon and against Tyson. But you have to say, in the end, Lewis is extra, well, maybe it was punch power, told. That's the third time in a row he's landed with a big punch and finished off his opponents. Remember, against Tucker, he had him down twice. Vital moments in the fight. Mayhem in the ring, as always. Lewis has got dark glasses on. Bruno's got his wife Laura in the ring with him at this moment, and I'm glad to say that Frank is okay. That is good to see. George Francis with him. $3.5 million or pounds, we reckon, for Lewis here. About 1.25 for Bruno. Rough figures, you never hear the exact ones. But Lewis is still the champion. That's the bottom line in Cardiff. In the Battle of Britain, Lewis in the end was the one flying the Spitfires. Somewhere in there is Mike Goodall, and he'll give us the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 1 minute 10 seconds of the 7th round, the referee has stopped the contest. The undefeated heavyweight champion of the world, Lennox Lewis! And ladies and gentlemen, as he leaves the ring, your appreciation for a very, very
well, a lot of people thought, or some experts anyway, that Lewis might just blast Bruno away. But Bruno's performance was heroic here. But take your hat off to this man, Lennox Lewis, because he is the future. We long to see him in the ring with Riddick Bowe. He perhaps still is not the finished article, but in even a tough fight, he finds the moment like that to get the job done. And that's what it's about in the end.
He answered a lot of questions because that was a very tough fight. Frank was having a lot of success, and he showed, to me, he showed a lot of skill and a lot of courage, because he overcome some tough fighting, and he came out with a beautiful left hook, and then he piled the pressure on, and to me it was a fantastic performance, and a very, very good heavyweight title fight.
Oh, it was excellent, I thought. Lennox Lewis, it's his 24th consecutive win, all the training in Landover, Maryland. Frank Bruno is on his way back to the dressing room. And is that the last time we will see him? It may well be. It's hard to see, really, where Frank can go from there, Glenn, isn't it?
It is very hard. I mean, he's proved everything. He's went in there and he's had a go. He's given his best shot. Unfortunately, it wasn't his day. And Lennox Lewis proved he is a very, very worthy world champ. And I think, Frank's done everybody credit. He's been a great personality, but I think his time has probably come.
So let's go to Frank Maloney, the manager of Lennox Lewis. He's with Gary Norman.
Frank, that was a very strange start to that fight. I was a bit worried for Lennox at the start.
Yeah, I just think there was too much pride up there. Both boys forgot their boxing. That was a real war up there. That was savage until we got Lennox under control.
Did you underestimate Bruno at all?
No, we never underestimated him. We've always said it would be a war for 5 rounds with his pride at stake, and that's what we saw up there. Frank got carried out on the shield up there tonight, and full marks to him. He proved what a better fighter we've ever given him credit for.
I think Lewis had to dig deep. There was a couple of times there he looked a little bit phased to me.
I don't think so. He got caught with a couple of shots, but he was under control all the time. He was just trying too much with the right hand.
He got the job done like you said he would, but let's give Frank a bit of praise for this, eh?
I'm praising Frank. I've just told you, I think it was a great fight, not taking nothing away from Frank. It was probably a much better fight than any 2 Americans could have put on for a world title. And full marks to Frank Bruno, and full marks to Lennox Lewis.
Now it's Tommy Morrison.
Hopefully, yes.
All right, back to you, Ian Dark.
It's me actually, Gary, but well done for getting hold of Frank Maloney nonetheless. Barry McGuigan has watched that enthralled with me. I think the top line out of it is to say that that was a better fight than either of us expected it to be.
It certainly was, and if these people don't stand down behind us, I'd rather fight.
Your boxing days are over,
anyway, I thought Bruno put up an exceptionally good fight. Lewis unfortunately allowed him into the fight fortunately for Frank, he allowed him into the fight because he didn't jab. He didn't jab with Bruno. Bruno took control of the centre of the ring and at times looked ominously dangerous. Hurt Lewis, and let nobody tell you that Lewis can't take a shot. He can take a tremendous punch, and I thought that he finished the fight in superb fashion. His accuracy was brilliant. He didn't put his punches together early enough in the fight, but when he did, he turned on the magic and he was sensational.
Thanks, Barry. Much more from Barry McGuigan as we continue to reflect on what has been an absolutely sensational fight. We'll be talking to Lennox Lewis, still reigning WBC World Heavyweight Champion, after this.
Watching Sky Sports.
The Battle of Britain has been won, but there are still thousands of people around the ring apron area, still just trying to take in the magnitude of the contest we've seen in the ring. Lennox Lewis reigns on as WBC World Heavyweight crown. Let's go and talk to him with Ian Dark.
Lennox, congratulations. You're still the champion, but a tough fight.
Yeah, it was tough. Bruno was a lot tougher than I thought he would be.
What are your thoughts about him now? Because he really did make it quite hard for you there for that first 6 rounds. 2 of the judges had it even, and 1 of them had Bruno ahead.
Well, it took me a while to get started. I went in there pretty cold, and he was pretty warm at the beginning, but I realized as the fight went on, he would slow down because a lot of his power punches were missing me, and then I just kept my exposure, and then my speed came to work in the later rounds.
And your punch power, yet again, was a vital factor. You're going down now as a bit of a puncher, which not everybody had you down as earlier on in your career.
Well, Bruno did his, he did his homework. He was watching out for my right hand. I threw some right hands to the belly, and then I realized that that slowed him up, and then I just threw my left hook because a lot of people don't realize I've got a left hook as well. Just because every time I hit everybody with my right hand, they seem to go. But this time I tried my left hook, and it came out on top for me.
There was a lot of grudge before the fight. A few bad words were spoken. What are your feelings about Bruno now? Because that probably was his last fight.
Well, like I said, I don't keep no grudges. I don't hate Bruno. He gave me a tough fight, and enough respect to him.
And your future now, it's Tommy Morrison next. What about that one? You want a bit of a holiday first, don't you, though?
Not really. I'm just going to keep busy, and I'm going to make sure that, a lot of things I have to work on, and just keep sharp.
Let's have a look at the ending of the fight again, if we can. Round 7. 2 of the judges have got it even, and there was a great left hook from you in there.
Yes, this time is when I had him hurt. The referee stepped in. I don't know what reason he did. He told me I was holding, but I was throwing my right hand, and I just wanted him to hurry up so I can go and take out Bruno.
Were you upset at that point because you had him on the verge there of defeat at that moment? It could have been vital, that.
I was upset, but I realized he was still goggy-eyed because he looked in slow motion, and he didn't put his hands up fast enough. So I took my time, and I just wanted to land one right hand because I knew that would take his head off.
It was only a matter of time at this stage, wasn't it?
Yes. He was basically, he lost all his power, and he was just hanging on. The ropes were holding him up, and I just wanted to tear his head off.
Tough, hard fight, though. Were you worried at any stage there about the way things were developing?
Not really. I realized as the fight went on, I just, got more and more warm, and I never lose my speed. My power still stays the same. As the fight went on for Bruno, he slowed down tremendously.
You always gave the impression there, I thought, that maybe you had another gear to slip into.
Definitely. I always get warmer in the later rounds.
So Lennox Lewis is still the champion. You've got a bit of eye damage there underneath those glasses. Let's have a look at it, Lennox, or don't you want us to?
No.
No. It's not much anyway, is it?
No, just a little nick.
Goes with the territory. Goes with the business.
So tonight you've got a big party in Cardiff.
Everybody's invited.
Even me?
Oh, yeah, come on.
And a few stars around as well.
Bruno's invited as well.
It's good to see your friends afterwards. It was a great fight, and well done for still being champ.
Yes, thank you very much. I'd like to thank all my fans out there. Enough respect, level vibes.
Well done, Lennox.
Thanks a lot.
Level vibes to you too, Lennox. We don't know what the future holds for Bruno, but it looks pretty rosy for Lennox Lewis. Here's how he retained his WBC World Heavyweight crown. The joy speaks for itself, but when we see those shots up close again like that, Barry McGuigan in slow motion, you realise that the name of the game in boxing is pain, and Bruno shipped an awful lot of big shots there at the end.
He's a courageous guy. He took enormous punishment there for the last half a minute or 20 seconds of that fight. He took some absolute spot-on blows right on the button, and he was able to stand up. It was incredible. But Lewis, his guy, he's got something special, you know. He's got so much ability, it's just unreal. The way he was able to load up on that left hook, he was able to take a couple of punches, pull back, put his weight on his left leg and throw that left hook. He's got incredible punching power, incredible accuracy for a big man, and look at the versatility that he has, the variety of punches. He's a superb heavyweight.
Now, Barry, halfway through that fight, or certainly through the first half of it, you weren't entirely pleased with Lewis.
I wasn't. I thought that he allowed Frank to take control of the fight, and Frank did exploit a lot of the mistakes that he made. For example, dropping his hands down by his side. I know he's got great upper body movement, but he can't keep doing that. He certainly won't be able to do that with Riddick Bowe. He's got to get those hands up, and he's got to punch in bunches. He's got to throw punches in bunches. He can't expect to knock a guy out every time. He's got to learn to put his punches together. But he's got it all there. I don't know why he's not doing it. He's an
Any thoughts
fighter.
on that at all?
On
the reasons why he seemed to start so slowly, first couple of rounds especially.
Well, what he was doing is he was going out there and he was starting the round off at a good sustained pace, and then he was dropping back and allowing Bruno to come back into the fight. He wasn't able to maintain that aggression that he's shown at the start of each round. But obviously he had tactics at the back of his mind. Bruno's a very tough guy, as we've seen here tonight, a very strong guy, and he hit Lewis right on the button, right on the money, and don't let anybody tell you that Lewis can't take a punch. No. Those were full-blooded blows. That first punch actually shook Lewis, and he said he was off balance, but that shook him, and he hit him right on below the butt of the ear. It was a perfect shot, and Bruno's a very tough guy. I mean, Tyson couldn't put him on the floor, and neither could Witherspoon. And I thought that, all in all, that was a superb performance by Lewis. He shows what he's capable of doing. He's just got to put it all together a bit better. If he hopes to beat Bowe, he's got to put it together better.
Here's the finish. We've heard Glenn McCrory talk us through it from your point of view.
This is where the referee jumped in. In actual fact, that's after that. Now this is the final sequence of punches here from Lewis. Now, he was able to hit Bruno with that. Now, what's this left uppercut? Look at the position where he's throwing that from. And it just missed Bruno's chin, thankfully for Frank, and that right hand, and that was enough by the referee. Mickey Van had seen enough at that stage. Frank was all out. But, you know, the versatility, the variety of punches that he's got, Lewis, the positions that he can throw power from is incredible.
Here we are from slightly wider angle now. Frank up against the ropes and looking like he wants to go home.
This is again the finishing sequence of punches now. He's measuring him with the left, and that's what the referee was warning him for. He was pushing his head back and lifting him with that uppercut, and he was right to warn him. But again, Frank's all out here, and Lewis is just putting... Now, what's this left uppercut again? Now, that missed Bruno's chin. If that had hit him, he would have taken his head off. Incredible punching power and accuracy from a big man like Lewis. 6'5", incredible pinpoint accuracy. He is going to be a hard guy to beat.
What about Riddick Bowe?
Again, Bruno...
Have a look at this shot, Barry. I believe this is the one that...
This is the left hook. Now, he's actually coming out of a sequence of punches from Bruno. This is the left hook. Whack! Now, he's thrown a wide left hook, and that was the beginning of the end for Frank. Frank's legs went absolutely blotto. Now, again, you'll see it. Here he's pulling Lewis's head up. Lewis keeps his hand tucked up, comes out with that left hook. That is absolutely peach-perfect left hook. And he just didn't let him off the hook here. Again, we'll see it. Now watch, keep his hands up high, whack. And I mean, that would have knocked out most heavyweights. Frank, incredible strength, was able to take that blow without going to the ground. Unbelievable. All respect to him. We put up a tremendous performance, but this again, as I say, was the beginning of the end for him. And Lewis doesn't let you off the hook. When he gets you going like this, he just finishes you. Look at that right uppercut and left hook. Again, the speed of the big guy, he's unbelievable. And right hand again. I mean, Bruno took about 20 full-blooded blows there before the fight was stopped. Amazing that he was able to take those punches. And this is where he misses with the right. Now, he measures him here with the left. Now, he pushes his head back, look, and blinds him. Now, the referee was very quick to spot that. Mickey Van was very good there. He takes him across and says, look, don't push his head back. And Bruno is all out there. He looks to his corners, breathing big, looking to George Francis. What can I do here, George? I'm exhausted. I've got nothing left. And Lewis comes in hunting again. He's not going to let him off the hook. There's lots of time left in the round. Bruno again, all due respect to him, tried the right hand, but wasn't enough. Just wasn't going to beat Lewis. And again, that left uppercut just missed him on the right hand, and that was it. George Francis was on his way in to stop the fight anyway. But again, another tremendously courageous performance by Frank Bruno. But again, I said before the fight, Mickey Duff was convinced he was going to win. It was going to be the third time lucky for him. At 32 years old, you know, that was his third attempt. I wasn't convinced that he was going to be any better than he was in the first two. He put up a tremendous performance. In fact, he fought better on this occasion. But he wasn't going to beat Lewis. Lewis is the man of the moment, and he's going on to bigger things.
We hope and expect to be speaking shortly to Frank Bruno, who's recovering in his dressing room area. While we wait for that, I want to know about the message that Lewis's performance will send to Riddick Bowe, who holds the other two versions of the World Heavyweight crown.
Well, the one thing that we heard from Riddick Bowe at the beginning of the programme was that Lewis's chin has never been tested. I never for 1 minute believed that, because think what you like of Gary Mason, the one thing he could do, he could really bang. And he hit Lewis right on the point of the chin and couldn't shake him. And Bruno again hit him on the chin and hurt him more, but couldn't shake him, couldn't put him down.
Let's go back down to ringside. Thanks to Barry McGuigan for the time being, and talk to another man, a former world champion at middleweight, Alan Minter. He knows a thing or two about taking shots. He's talking to Ian Darke.
Yeah, Alan's here and is just digesting what we've witnessed in Cardiff Arms Park. What did you think, Alan, of that fight?
Well, I thought it was a hell of a fight, because I predicted all the way along for Frank to knock out Lewis in the 7th. And what amazed me was Frank was faster than Lewis, had a better combination, and was going well. But then it's the same old story when a champion's hurt and he's fit and he's like fearless, like an animal. When a champion's hurt, he comes back. In the 7th round, Frank hurt Lewis. But Lewis dug down and came back, got him in one shot, got him with the next, and got him with the next. And it was a matter of time before the referee intervened.
We were wondering before the fight about punch power. In the end, it was Lewis's punch power that was decisive, something that might have fooled a few people looking from the outside.
Well, I suppose the thing is, I always said to everybody that if Frank hits you, he'll knock you out. But then time tells. Lewis is young, up and coming, strong, the champion of the world, wants to keep the title. So therefore, Frank's tried three. It's his third attempt. Never succeeded. And I suppose you're young, you're ambitious, and you reign for a while.
How good is Lennox Lewis, do you think? Is he going to beat Riddick Bowe when they meet each other? I think he's still improving, probably. It's not the finished article, is he?
Well, I was speaking to an American trainer just now.
Lou Duva, I think.
Lou Duva, yeah. And he says Lennox Lewis is improving, as you just said, improving all the time. Riddick Bowe, he will knock out Riddick Bowe, and any opponent that's available at this present time, Lennox Lewis will beat.
Thanks a lot, Alan. Alan Minter, always a pleasure to speak to you.
Ian, God bless. Thank you.
Thanks very much to the two gentlemen. Why don't we just take this moment as we wait to speak to Frank Bruno, just to review the closing round 7, when it all finally closed up for Frank Bruno. This is how Ian Darke saw Lennox Lewis triumph.
6 rounds gone, halfway point. I'm scoring the fight even, so is Glenn McCrory. This is the 7th round. They both have a little bit of facial damage. So far we've got Lewis landing 84 punches and Bruno 83. We have an expert counting the punches as they're landed.
But one thing's for sure, this certainly is a great heavyweight title fight.
Look at Bruno here, coming up shot with their left hook, catches him, and Bruno was hurt by that. And now Lewis is looking to close in to finish this, and Bruno is in trouble. Bruno is in big trouble. And Lewis carries on a relentless assault here, pouring on the punishment. These are bad moments for Frank Bruno. Right uppercut, and I think Mickey Byrne's going to stop it. Or is he? He's called off the assault. Well, that was a contentious incident in the fight. I thought for a moment there he was stopping that right uppercut. Lewis here, and Bruno is on the verge of going. He won't take a lot more, and this time it is stopped, and Lennox Lewis is still the WBC heavyweight champion of the world. But Frank Bruno put up such a brave, courageous performance. He was right in the fight until that moment when Lewis turned on the class and finished the job in clinical fashion.
Just clinical it was, Barry McGuigan. We're hoping, incidentally, just to talk to Frank Bruno in just a moment or two now. One wonders about the future for Frank. The last time?
Well, I hope that this is the end for him. He put up a fabulous
Just to interrupt you, we'll get your reaction to what he has to say. He's available now and he's talking live to Gary Norman.
Frank, thanks for talking to us so soon after the fight.
First of all, Gary, I've got to say, Nicola and Rachel and Christiane and Laura's mum, Peter and Mary, that I'm okay, I'm fine. So thank you very much for watching and supporting me. Thank you. I'm fine, Nicola and Rach.
I've got to say, you took your heart and soul into that ring.
Yeah.
You made a lot of people proud, Frank. You gave it your all.
Thank you very much, Gary. Thank you. Cheers.
All the bad work is done now. All the bad words are finished with.
Yeah.
What you must have respect for Lennox.
I've got respect for him, but I'm still going to sue him for calling me Uncle Tom. You know, I've got the greatest amount of respect for any boxer. After, if I get beaten, if I won, I've got the greatest amount of respect. But I haven't got no respect for no one calling me Uncle Tom. But that is a separate item. He beat me fair and square, and good luck to him.
On the boxing, there were a few moments there. You had him reeling.
Very, very much so. But I can't really cry over spoiled milk. He beat me fair and square, and I'm going to make up no excuses. He beat me. You know what I mean? I'm a man. I can take it on the chin and say that he beat me fair and square. No problem at all.
The big question everyone wants to know is, what does Frank Bruno do now?
I'm not too sure. I'm going to sit down with Laura, Nicola, Rachel, and just, you know what I mean, go over a few things. You know, talk to George and Keith, and talk to my mum, and talk to the man above, and see what I'm going to do from there. I can't make no commitments now because I've just got to chill out for a little bit. You know, it's just what, half an hour after the fight. You know, so I just got to really, Gary, you asked me exclusive questions so quick, mate.
Well, thanks for talking to us. You did a lot of people proud. A lot of people watching were very happy. Respect for you too.
Thank you very much, everybody. Owen Brown, Muddy Fox, everybody, the Bell House School for supporting me. Thank you. Cheers.
And away goes Frank with George Francis and Keith Morton, the men who've guided him up to this third and what we expect to be final attempt at the World Heavyweight crown. He mentioned Nicola and Rachel, the two little girls sitting at home. And yes, the good news for you little girls is that Daddy is fine and he'll be home in a day or two. And Barry McGuigan with me here. I just wonder if this may even be the last time that we see Frank.
Well, I hope it is, because, you know, you can't do much better than that. He gave the champion a real run for his money. Typical courageous performance by Bruno. He's a very popular guy. He has a future out there as a celebrity. He'll never be forgotten for his 3 attempts at the world title. He's a great guy. I hope it's the end for him.
He fought with such nobility.
He certainly is. He's a very noble, strong guy. He said he was going to go in there and give it his all. He's certainly done that.
And the polls we had before the fight suggested that Frank Bruno remains a very, very popular public figure in this country.
Incredibly popular. They say he's the second biggest draw to the Queen. So I'm judging by the amount of people that turned out to see him tonight and the polls on the telephone. He's a very popular guy, and I hope, as I say, that this is the end for him, because he can't get much higher than this.
Now, he'll go away from this, and tonight I guess it'll be pretty difficult to sleep. You went through this. You went through losing a world title fight. What does it feel like? Awful, I should think.
Yeah, pretty awful. Yes, I'm sure he'll be sitting down and thinking about it. He may even feel that it's worth giving it another go, because he gave Lewis so many hard times during that fight, but I don't know whether that's wise or not. But that, of course, is entirely his decision. But I'm sure he will have lots of time to dwell on how he done here. Now, I thought he was brilliant. I thought he put up a great performance. But again, you know, his future obviously will be decided amongst him and his wife Laura, his promoter Mickey Duff, and his very good friend and trainer George Francis. They'll decide what he'll do with his future.
Maybe his friends are going to worry that he's going to go away and start to think about his performance here and think, hey, I did so well for so long that maybe I shouldn't pack it in yet.
Yeah, well, you know, it was a fabulous, a credible performance. He put up a great show, as always. He's a very courageous guy, and he's a damaging puncher. He's got very heavy hands. You know, he's got one of those punches that can comatise most heavyweights. And again, as I say, Lewis took the shots and shook a few times, but came roaring back.
Final quick word, the future for Lennox Lewis?
The future for Lennox Lewis looks fabulous. He's going to earn a lot of money, and I think Tommy Morrison is far more of a foregone conclusion than the Bruno fight. I think he will go on to inevitably fight Riddick Bowe, and I think he's developing. We said earlier that he was, but I think he's getting better as a fighter, and I don't think Riddick Bowe's getting any better. And he's watching here tonight, and I guarantee you he's a frightened man.
We'll see how Lewis gets on against Tommy Morrison, of course, here on Sky Sports. My thanks to Barry McGuigan. I've really enjoyed having you on the show tonight, and your expert comments have gone down extremely well. Thanks also to everybody who's taken part in the show, but the show is far from over here on Sky Sports. Lots more top-class entertainment coming here. Sunday at midday, Goals on Sunday with Anna Walker and John Salako, and a motorsport fans special within that show. We're looking at all the football from the weekend, but also the Superbikes live from Donington. Super Sunday from White Hart Lane with Richard Keys and the team, exclusively from 2 p.m. It's Tottenham Hotspur against Everton. And on Monday Night Football, the Lancashire Derby from Main Road, Manchester City against Oldham Athletic, show underway at 7. Looking a little further ahead, we have big-time baseball for you. The Major League World Series Finals. Saturday the 16th, 1 a.m. our show gets underway. We're covering the series all the way through to a conclusion there. We don't know yet if we have followed the conclusion of the career of Frank Bruno to the very end yet, but it doesn't look good for Frank into the future. Lennox Lewis reigns on as the WBC World Heavyweight Champion. Who is to stop him? Morrison? Bowe? Stay with Sky Sports to find out. From us all, bye for now.
It's 20 minutes past the hour. Now Mark Suster with the sports news.
Thanks so much indeed. Good afternoon. Lennox Lewis has confirmed that his next fight will be against the WBO heavyweight champion Tommy Morrison. It'll take place in Las Vegas on March the 5th next year. And Lewis hopes it'll be the next step towards a heavyweight title unification fight against the WBA champion Riddick Bowe.
In the multi-million-dollar world of heavyweight boxing, the next big purse is only a few phone calls away. Lennox emerged from his hotel today knowing that transatlantic phone calls in the early hours of the morning had set him well on the way to becoming Britain's richest ever sportsman. Confirmation that his next fight will be in March in Las Vegas against Tommy Morrison, assuming Morrison beats Bent later this month. As for the defeated Bruno, some advice from the champion.
I think he should retire gracefully, you know. I don't think the British public wants to see any more boxers hurt out there, and I think if he continues, he would be hurt badly.
The boxing world wants a unified heavyweight title. That looks like being an eventual showdown between Lewis and Riddick Bowe. And Lewis had this message for the man who dumped his title in the bin.
Basically, you know, stop running and hopefully we'll get it together, because Bowe doesn't want to face any other heavyweights out there. He boxed Holyfield, boxed 2 opponents, now he's boxing Holyfield again because he doesn't want to face any other heavyweights out there.
Lewis, who's now very hot property, will begin training for the Morrison fight at the start of next year. Richard Liddon, Sky News, Cardiff.
So it's looking good for Lewis, but what now for Bruno? Most people believe he will retire from the ring, but speaking immediately after his 7th round defeat, he refused to speculate on his future.
I want to sit down with Laura, Nicola, Rachel, and just, you know what I mean, go over a few things, you know, talk to George and Keith and talk to my mum and talk to the man above and see what I'm going to do from there. I can't make no commitments now because I've just got to chill out for a little bit, you know.
I can't say to you, yes, I think he should retire, yes, he should do this. He's got to make up his own mind. And as I say, as a trainer, I've had many champions, and there's nothing sadder than the morning after saying, well, if only he'd done that, if only he'd done that. I mean, he put up a good show and he got tagged. There's no disgrace in that at all. So he'll make up his own mind in his own sweet time.